The dawn enters the dragon. President Trump touching down in China for his high-stake talks with President Xi.
Good job, Greg.
Thank you. Beijing rolling out the communist red carpet with hundreds of Chinese kids waving flags to cheer him on. Isn't that adorable? Tagging along with the president is a dream team of tech CEOs like Elon Musk and Tim Apple. So the big question, does Trump still have that great relationship with Xi?
I have a great relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to remain that way. We have a lot of things to discuss. I wouldn't say Iran is one of them, to be honest with you, because we have Iran very much under control. We're either going to make a deal or they're going to be decimated. So one way or the other, we win. But we're going to be talking with President Xi about a lot of different things. I would say more than anything else will be trade.
Back home, the Democratic Party that's always getting honeypotted by Chinese spies, whether it's Swalwell and Fang Fang or that California mayor who just admitted to being an agent for China, they're trying to sell America on the idea that Trump is bowing to Beijing.
We all ought to fear what Donald Trump may concede to China just so he can claim a headline. Trump has fantasized about $1 trillion in Chinese investments in America. This is Trump empowering Xi's made-in-China ambitions, selling out American manufacturers and workers, giving CCP businesses an edge in undermining America, saying, China, you come here.
All right, Jesse. You know, critics always portray Trump as some kind of unstable gunslinger throwing down against world powers. But basically, he's kind of like a salesman for free markets. He shows up there with these shiny baubles of billionaires and saying, why don't you join us? Things could be, the water's warm. He always goes in there as not as a competitor, but a collaborator.
Yeah, he's going in there representing the world's biggest economy, strongest military, biggest energy exporter, world's reserve currency. This is not an equal thing. China and the United States, we have a lot more nukes. We have a lot more carriers. We just beat them to the moon. We just kicked them out of the Panama Canal. And we just wiped out 2 of their black market gas stations and showed that we can, if we want to, embargo them if they get frisky with Taiwan, because we control the straits in the South China Sea and in the Middle East. And while we've been in Iran, we've been doing war games with all of our Pacific allies. And we sold $11 billion in weapons to Taiwan, and we have another $25 billion arms package waiting on the president's desk. He doesn't want to sign it there. It's too humiliating for the Chinese, so he'll wait. China is still our #1 trade partner, though. So there are going to be big business deals announced with Boeing and agriculture. The problem is the chips we make need their minerals. So we're on a little bit of a smash and grab mineral run all over the world, which has been fun to watch. We still have about a 50% tariff rate on the Chinese, but Trump has cultivated a very good relationship with Xi Jinping over the last 8 or so years. Doesn't mean he's not going to hit him with charges against hacking and spying and dumping. You know, Greg, they love to dumping goods all over the world because their consumers don't buy. And the quarantine, along with our chip controls, are really starting to show cracks in the Chinese economy. So the test is, how long is China willing to wait until they call the gay Ayatollah and say, you got to open up the strait? I think she's watching Trump. How long is Trump willing to maintain the blockade on Iran? So right now, it's a test of wills, and I think the president is in a good place.
Oh, all right, Jillian, before the show, you said to me, this might be the most important summit between foreign powers in the history of this country. What is the deep state telling you to say?
I believe I called it high stakes. Oh, look, there it is in the lower third.
Yes.
It is a high stakes summit. It is, but I think it's actually very high stakes for reasons that people are not talking about very much, which is obviously there's a lot of trade stuff at stake here. There's still the remnants of this tariff war going on. You mentioned the president still has this 10% global universal tariff on everything coming in from China, on top of the tariffs that he already has implemented in his first year. Some of the CEOs going with the president are hoping they can do something about that while they're there. Obviously, the war with Iran is important. Getting the Strait of Hormuz opened up again is something that China and the U.S. care very deeply about more than any other country in the world. There's Taiwan. There's all this stuff, but it's really what matters here, and we don't know that they're even going to talk about it, is artificial intelligence, because these are the 2 world powers that are in competition to dominate the future, right? And whoever wins the AI race to the top gets to control, in large part, not to be dramatic, but the future of
You're right.
humanity. And
you are
so,
right.
I think that's another good reason to have these CEOs there. Some of these folks are leading that charge on behalf of the United States. People in the sort of AI expertise world seem to disagree about whether the US and China could collaborate in the space, but maybe on the sidelines, they'll hash out some of the possibilities. It's good for all of us if they can.
Jessica, what say you? You were mentioning before the show started how presidential Trump looked there.
I didn't know you could hear me when I was talking. I called my mom. I was like, he looks so good today. Look at him, almighty on that red carpet with the Chinese kids. The Chinese obviously knows how Donald Trump likes to be greeted. He wants a parade. He likes the fanfare. It puts him in a good mood. The world leaders that get along with him all know. They call him daddy or whatever you got to do to get through it. So the Chinese definitely got the memo on that. I think Jillian's point on AI is super important, all this. I don't really know how you collaborate with the Chinese when all they want to do is steal all of our secrets. But obviously, he brought these CEOs there for a reason. I want to talk about one of them in particular, the NVIDIA CEO, because it was rumored that he wasn't going to come, and then they picked him up in Alaska on a
Jensen Huang.
And that's all about the chips. So the Biden administration was against selling our high-level chips to the Chinese. They said it was a national security threat. President Trump reversed that position, and a lot of people disagree with that. And not only did Jensen Huang lobby for that, he wants the Chinese to buy even more of his chips. So he's there to make a deal. Donald Trump is there to make a deal on that, perhaps, but also several other points on the tariffs. He needs to sell more soybeans. Farmers are getting crushed in America right now. We have record high bankruptcies. They're saying, we can't stay in business unless we can sell to the Chinese again at the levels from before the tariffs. So it was a lot more before that. And then
it was beans, beef, sorry to interrupt, beans, beef, and Boeing. I just read an article before we went to air that Steve Daines came back from the prep meeting and he said this is the task.
All right, this is getting boring.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Beans and chips, I feel like
she added the beef and Boeing.
I'm sorry to jump in.
Super Bowl party.
I want to say, you can't also forget the fact that last week the Iranian foreign minister, who's supposed to be negotiating this deal with us, went to China and talked to them about the state of the conflict. Politico is reporting that apparently the Chinese want the Iranians to make a deal. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But we are constantly talking about how bad the Iranians' handwrite is and what an advantage we have and that the strait is completely closed and we're in complete control of it. And then Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman come out and they're reporting that Iran's restored 30 of 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz. They're partially or fully operational. We saw the piece in The Atlantic where it might have been a leak from J.D. Vance's team saying that they're concerned about our stockpiles versus the Iranian stockpiles and whether we would be able to help with a Taiwan. We are not. Why do you laugh?
These are just deep state leaks
from J.D. Vance?
Case scenarios that you guys have been doing for decades.
Jessica.
Okay.
All right, can I bring Paul into this? We got to
what-
get out of this incredibly excruciating segment.
Are you?
Well, where would you rather be sitting at? Where we are, where Iran is right now, right? So let's just draw back. Let's also draw back relative to this. I want to discuss what Schumer said. First of all, let's do a little quick history. 2000, per capita income for the Chinese, under $1,000 per person. In the rural areas, in the low hundreds. And then our chattering classes in the foreign policy intelligentsia, led by Bill Clinton, said, hey, I got a great idea. You know how they'll liberalize? Let's give them permanent most favored nation status, not every year renewed. They got it. And then let's put them in the World Trade Organization. Boom, overnight, what happened? Our entire manufacturing base went to Fujian province. So when you wonder on the Democratic side, hey, how come we don't have the blue collars anymore? The blue collars you have speak Mandarin, all right? So that whole thing went away. And the Chinese sitting there saying, I can't believe we pulled this off, did the next thing, which was quite smart. And I would have done the same thing if I'm sitting where they are, which is, hey, while they're preoccupied with the war on terror, let's flood the place with spies, particularly economic spies. And they did their homework. They knew what they were getting into with Swalwell. We now know the facts on that guy. So float a good-looking woman by him. We're going to have him in the bag. That one worked. And let's go down the line. You got this Arcadia mayor, right? You got Feinstein's driver was a spy. You got this one that was the Cuomo liaison to the Asian community linked to the PRC. Kathy Hochul, governor here, her DEI officer, a Chinese spy, Roy Singham, he's in Shanghai. He works for them against us. He's an American senator. You got Hunter Biden, of course, the big guy who said, oh, I'm going to work with the effing spy chief of China. They know where our soft underbelly is. And so at the same time they took all of our manufacturing, they said, look around, who are the useful idiots out there? Oh, there they are. We're going to get them on the left. And they got them. And right now, all of that stuff went over there. And that's why, where the hell am I over here? Listen to me, folks. We're losing. All right? You'd rather be sitting where we are right now, but we're losing, and we need to wise up, if not for now, for your kids, all right? Because this is about the future. There's a reason that Apple and all these tech guys are over there, because we don't have access to their markets, but we gave them everything under the sun. And if we don't recalibrate that, we're all going to be speaking Mandarin. And that's what's happening here.
Thank God I subscribed to Duolingo.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.